Slapped.
8 most convincing UFO sightings of all time. When it comes to UFO sightings, there is a lot of bogus footage out there, not to mention blurry photos and crackpot testimonies. There is, however, plenty of credible evidence of UFO existence if you can sift it out from the rest. From Apollo astronauts claiming UFO encounters to naval commanders' eyewitness accounts. Join us as we examine the 8 most convincing UFO sightings of all time. Today's episode is a co-production with AllTime Numbers. For some amazing space facts, stay tuned for the end of this episode for more information. The Battle of Los Angeles. On the evening of the 24th of February 1942, a large hovering object was spotted over Los Angeles, California. While air raid sirens sounded, several spotlights maintained the object's position. The 37th US Coast Artillery Brigade began peppering the UFO with 50 caliber machine guns and 12.8 pound anti-aircraft shells. The barrage continued well into the morning when a ceasefire was finally ordered. Initially, the object was thought to be an invading Japanese aircraft, as the incident occurred less than 3 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. However, it was later announced that the entire incident was a false alarm put down to a case of worn nerves. Despite the government's feeble attempt to explain the incident, the identity of the object was never confirmed, nor whether the US government managed to shoot it down or not. Former US astronaut claims UFO encounters. Former Apollo 14 member Dr. Edgar Mitchell claims that aliens came to Earth to stop a nuclear war between the US and the Soviet Union. According to Mitchell, several high-ranking military officials told him that they had seen UFOs during weapons tests during the 1940s, including the first ever test of a nuclear weapon in New Mexico on the 16th of July 1945. Mitchell is even quoted as saying, "Other officers from bases on the Pacific coast told me their test missiles were frequently shot down by alien spacecraft." UFO over Holy City. On January 28, 2011, several witnesses captured astonishing footage of a UFO flying over the Dome of the Rock on Jerusalem's Temple Mount. The glowing orb was seen clearly in the night sky before descending to within meters of the buildings below. It hovered there for a few seconds before emitting a bright light and ascending at great speed away from the bewildered onlookers. While the Israeli government dismissed the videos as likely hoaxes, no one has yet offered a definitive explanation as to what it was or how the video was made. Because the mysterious object appeared in such a holy place, many believe the UFO was a sign from God. UFO landing in Flatwoods, West Virginia. On September 12, 1952, in the town of Flatwoods, Baxton County, West Virginia, USA, the May brothers and their friend witnessed something very strange indeed. While playing in a field, the 3 boys claimed to have seen a bright orb flying overhead and landing on a nearby neighbour's land. The boys headed indoors to tell their mother. The boys and their mother collected several more locals, and the makeshift mob headed into the hills to where the ball of light landed. There they allegedly witnessed a darkly clad creature with a large cape that came towards them hissing before returning to the glowing orb. Many witnesses claimed to have smelled a horribly pungent odour that burned their eyes and noses. Later, many of them became ill, complaining of symptoms similar to mustard gas exposure. Westall UFO Encounter. At 11 AM on Wednesday, 6th of April 1966, more than 200 students and staff from Westall High School and Westall State School in Victoria, Australia, claimed to have witnessed a grey saucer-shaped craft land in a nearby field. The craft, described as about the size of 2 family cars and glowing purple, reportedly descended behind a line of trees where it remained for about 20 minutes. It is said that the object then climbed at great speed and departed in a northwest direction. Several newspapers covered the story, including the Dandenong Journal, which ran 2 separate front-page articles on the unexplained event. GTV Channel 9 Television ran a news report on this strange encounter in which a student, Joy Teague, described the object in detail. Sometime after, the footage went missing, Channel 9 reporting that the footage was removed from their archive and never returned. On April 8, 2006, a witness reunion was held at the Westall Tennis Club to commemorate the 40th anniversary of the mysterious incident. UFO Over the Atlantic. In 1950, Navy Commander Graham Bethune and his crew witnessed a UFO during a flight between Keflavik, Iceland and Argentia, Newfoundland. Commander Bethune was transporting several high-ranking military VIPs back to the US when the strange object appeared over the Atlantic Ocean. Bethune reported that the craft was approximately 300 feet in diameter and was surrounded by a fire-like halo. According to Bethune, the UFO suddenly rose to the level of the plane, at which time several members of the crew ducked for cover, fearing the object would crash right into them. When Bethune finally landed in Argentia, he, along with several members of his crew, were questioned about what they had seen. Amazingly, all reports were very similar, and the bizarre story was further corroborated by air traffic controllers that managed to track the mysterious craft from the ground. We've put a link to the full video testimony of Commander Graham Bethune in the description box below. It is well worth checking out. UFO over America's capital. Late on the evening of July 19, 1952, Edward Nugent, an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport, noticed several unidentified objects on his radar. The objects were confirmed by several other controllers, including the senior air traffic controller Harry Barnes. Barnes contacted the airport's other radar center, where controller Howard Cochran confirmed that he could see one of the objects out of his window. The objects were described as glowing bright orange and moved in a manner unlike any aircraft known at the time, sometimes traveling at speeds estimated at 7,000 miles per hour. When the objects moved over the White House, Barnes contacted Andrews Air Force Base. Soon the controllers at the Air Force Base confirmed several unusual blips on their radar screens. The mysterious blips corresponded to the location of the glowing orange lights, which were now being viewed in the sky by military personnel. At 3 AM, two F-94 Starfire jet fighters were sent to intercept the objects. Just as the jets entered the area, the objects vanished from the radar. The incident made front-page headlines, raising fear and panic amongst the local citizens. The objects mysteriously reappeared on radar 1 week later. Several more eyewitnesses reported to have seen strange fiery orange objects moving at tremendous speed through the night sky. The sightings led to President Harry Truman to personally call for an explanation of the events. Several news sources reported that the Air Force jet pilots had been placed on 24-hour alert with orders to shoot down any craft that refused to land. One jet pilot, Lieutenant William Patterson, reportedly chased 4 of the objects at speed when they suddenly surrounded his plane. Patterson asked the control tower at National Airport what he should do. He received nothing but stunned silence from the controllers. Patterson then said the 4 objects sped away from his jet and disappeared. The Japan Airlines Flight 1628 sighting. On November 17, 1986, Japan Airlines Flight 1628 was en route from Paris to Narita, Tokyo. At 5:11 PM, as the flight was changing direction through Alaskan airspace, several members of the crew, including ex-fighter pilot Captain Kenju Terauchi, witnessed 2 bright objects to their left. Terauchi described the objects as having a disregard for inertia in their movements, and one of the objects seemed to move as though it had overcome gravity. Soon the objects disappeared and a third, much larger object became visible. Terauchi claimed the new object was cylindrical and twice the size of an aircraft carrier. The captain then requested a change of course in order to avoid the UFO, which was now heading straight towards the plane. Following the incident, Captain Terauchi was grounded by the airline after he reported what had happened to 2 Japanese news journalists. Later, FAA Division Chief of the Accidents and Investigations Branch, John Callahan, was asked to compile a report of the occurrence in which he tied radar data of the objects with the voice tapes taken from onboard Flight 1628. The report was presented to members of the FBI, CIA, President Reagan's scientific study team, and several unidentified individuals in a meeting that was deemed top secret. According to Callahan, the incident was viewed as the first recording of UFO radar data, and all present were told to keep silent about the entire incident. A link to John Callahan's astonishing testimony recorded in 2001 can be found in the description box below. Huge shout out to AllTime Numbers. It was an absolute blast working with you guys on this one. Now if you want some amazing information about our galaxy, the Milky Way, head on over to their channel right now and check out their new awesome video, The Milky Way in Numbers. Oh my god, the alien invasion has begun. Get my tinfoil hat. until our supreme overlord alien beings take over, remember to hit that thumbs up button because it lets us know you're enjoying the content. And this is the Slapped Ham. Remember to subscribe.